other managers and try to imitate them. If you hear a new management buzzword, jump on it like a starving squirrel on the last peanut on earth. Now let's talk about the management zombie stare. Combine your new management language skills with the management zombie stare. Learn to hide every trace of comprehension and compassion in your expression. Your face should send this message: logic is futile. Some rookie managers make the mistake of inviting input from the employees, hoping for some valuable insight or contribution. As far as unwarranted optimism goes, this is roughly equivalent to panning for gold in your own shower. Here's a valuable tip. If your employees were capable of generating any nuggets of wisdom, they wouldn't be working for you. Now let's talk about looking like a manager. Clothes make the leader. Employees probably won't ever respect you as a person, but they might respect your clothes. Great leaders throughout history have understood this fact. Take the Pope, for example. If you took away his impressive Pope hat, his authority would be seriously diminished. Ask yourself if you would take advice on birth control from a guy wearing, let's say, a John Deere hat. I don't think so. You can learn from the Pope's example. Wear impressive clothes. This will be the primary source of your respect, if any, for the remainder of your career. And how about management personality? It will no longer be necessary to be witty or attractive in order for people to pay attention to you. As a manager, your power and charisma will carry you through any social situation. In fact, you can be physically repulsive and still have a good chance of betting one of your attractive employees through the use of subtle intimidation. From a strict legal perspective, this is criminal behavior. But let's face it, you didn't become a manager so you could get the best parking space. You did it so you could talk dirty to attractive people who couldn't complain. Your jokes will also take on a new air of richness and humor, no matter how many times you tell the same ones. Your employees will feel obliged to laugh heartily, and if you mix in some sexual innuendos, that's the same as foreplay. Some people say you shouldn't abuse your power as a manager, but being timid is no way to live. Go out and grab some gusto, and if the gusto files a lawsuit, claim you are misinterpreted. Before your rise to power, you felt obliged to stop rambling when your listener showed signs of starvation, coma, or rigor mortis. That's all in the past. If you're part of a meeting that's scheduled for 60 minutes, feel free to use it all. And remember, agendas are suggestions, not rules, and rules were made to be broken. Therefore, suggestions are made to be ignored. That last statement didn't make any sense, but logic is not a luxury that a busy manager can afford. Sometimes you have to cut corners to make more time for babbling. Sometimes you'll blunder into a meeting where the person who called the meeting has a purpose or a mission for the meeting. That's the sort of thing they should be doing on their own time, not yours. Ignore their rudeness and proceed with your own good work. It is not necessary for you to understand the technology that drives your company, or even the technology that raises and lowers your big puffy chair. You are a manager, not a detail person, and you can pay the little people to do the boring technical work for you. However, there are a few key technical concepts you should master to avoid embarrassment. Number 1, when you fax a piece of paper, your original piece of paper does not actually travel through the phone lines, nor can you save travel expenses by faxing yourself to a distant location. Number 2, if your PC is plugged into the power outlet, that doesn't mean you're connected to the internet, despite all the hype you hear about how easy it is. You also need software. Number 3, you don't need to move your desk or put on sneakers in order to be running under Windows. Number 4, Ethernet will not make you lose consciousness even if you sniff a broken cable. About once a week, you should skim technical magazines, such as Newsweek or People, and ask your staff, "Why aren't we doing this?" Then watch them squirm as they try to convince you that it's impossible or hideously expensive. They are lazy and deceitful. Ignore their so-called expertise and demand that they do your bidding. Try to pick your technology challenges at random, as opposed to having some immediate relevance to work in progress. This shows the scope of your intellectual grasp of technology. For example, if your department is building a new customer database, insist that it incorporate the ability to store aromas and music, in case you need those capabilities later. If you're too lazy to skim technology magazines for good ideas, simply combine any two good concepts, then challenge your staff to make it happen. For example, you could say, "Why don't we make all of our electrical outlets digital?" Or, "Why don't we get some multimedia fax machines?" Prior to becoming a manager, you handled your own calendar. From now on, your schedule will be managed by a secretary whose goal is to send you to meetings that are far away from the office. To illustrate this point, let's say that your most important priority is to hire additional staff members to improve client service. Your secretary will respond by booking you on a mining expedition to the Axelon Nebula star system. This might not have much to do with your priorities, but the alternative is to make your own appointments, and that is not what leaders do. Leaders do what their secretaries schedule them to do. Take Napoleon Bonaparte, for example. He was originally an accounting manager in Paris, but his secretary handled the calendar, and she hated him because he had some sort of short guy personality disorder that had no name at the time. So his secretary would book him for things such as invade Russia during the winter and Waterloo, 2 p.m. Don't complain if your secretary sends you out of the office. The alternative is worse. If you've been a tyrant lately, your secretary will seek revenge by the idiot trickle torture. This involves filling your calendar with slow-talking, dim-witted employees who form a never-ending line outside your office door. You won't get a lot of work accomplished under this new scheduling system, but luckily, as a manager, your pay is not linked to the quantity of your work. Your pay depends on the appearance of work plus the intangible qualities you bring to the job, such as leadership and motivation, and you can pay other people to do that stuff for you. More good news? Intangible leadership qualities are difficult for anybody to actually notice. This is your passport to leisure. Nobody will really know if you're exuding huge quantities of leadership and motivation, or if you're just walking around bothering people. To the untrained observer, these activities are identical. So you can do whichever is easier, and it will have no impact on your pay. As a manager, you are no longer expected to be on time for any meeting with your underlings. They will entertain themselves by making small talk, so named because of the size of their paychecks. You can calculate the number of minutes to be late by multiplying the number of people in the meeting by 3 and then showing up whenever you feel like it. It's more of an art than a science. Tease your helplessly waiting underlings by walking briskly past the doorway with a document in your hand and saying something like, "I just have to make one phone call," then leave for the afternoon. They'll still be there in the morning, so there's no reason to make special efforts for people who don't know how to act empowered. They must learn to be independent. And how about those executive retreats? An executive retreat is a process where all the decision makers in your company go to a nice resort and ask themselves 2 questions. Number 1, how can we make the employees work harder for less money? And number 2, why is morale so low? Both problems are addressed by working on such things as mission and vision and guiding principles of the company. These activities might not seem directly related to the 2 questions, but the process is effective because it takes a long time, and the longer the executives are away, the higher the productivity and morale will be back at the office. Have you heard the term management physics? As a manager, you are automatically endowed with special powers to manipulate time, matter, and space. You can suspend the relationship between cause and effect and make time move at any rate you choose. This is handy more often than you might think. Your special powers can be useful when, for example, your lazy employees tell you that an important task will take at least 6 months to finish. And let's say you just told your boss that the task would take only 2 weeks. Solution? All you have to do is adjust the timeline down to 2 weeks. This seemingly simple change will cause a chain of events that will ripple through the fabric of space-time and result in an energy-free transfer of blame from you to your employees at approximately the speed of light. As a manager, you will also be able to control gravity. Sir Isaac Newton showed that dense objects, such as managers, have more gravity. Your office will become a black hole into which all employee input will be lost forever. No matter how many times your employees give you something, diskettes, documents, whatever, you can claim you never got it. Best of all, it's not your fault. It's the law of gravity. You might wonder how managers acquire these special powers. You've heard how sometimes a blind person develops good hearing. It's like that, except in this case, it's more like a blind person who acquires a limp. Here's what you need to know about making decisions. Nothing good ever came from a management decision. Avoid making decisions whenever possible. They can only get you in trouble. Here are some good methods for avoiding decisions while still doing stuff that appears managerish. Act confused. Form a task force.